Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Gaming with Blockchain. I'm your host, A-Minu, and we are going to be talking about two games today. We'll be catching up on what's going on in the world of Alien Worlds and what's been happening in Upland. There's been some really interesting activity for the last few days, but we're going to touch base a bit on Alien Worlds first. Just a quick overview because what has happened in the last few days, Alien Worlds has announced a partnership with Cryptomonkeys. So, if you're familiar with what's been happening in the Alien Worlds, it's all about mining and it's all about earning Trilium and working on your location of a land that you want to support with your staking. So if you don't have land and you're a miner, and then you just got to evaluate each planet and decide, okay, which planet would I want to stake my rewards with? And you do have several choices, right? So you have your Trillium here. Where do I want to stake it? And you can look at the I guess the governance of some of the planets, which hasn't been officially announced, but everyone's preparing for that. So remember when last time we were talking, we were looking at the allocation of some of the lands, and we were also looking at the live mining that's been happening. This is the website I had posted prior, and I'll do it again, where you can see how the mining activities have been popping up just generally all over all the 6 planets. These are all the planets down here at the bottom that will give you indications of the color code, and you get a sense of the serious activity that's increasing. So what has happened in the Alien Worlds, they've hit their marker, and for Twitter accounts, they've got 5,000 new signups. Things are moving along. Thunderdome is still being anticipated. The managing of land, which is the governance part, which I had mentioned just now, is coming into fruition. Like there's a lot of more activity that's being etched on and reviewed and evaluated with as well. So for myself, I'm still in the mining. I still have my timer here, so I can't press mine. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to stake right now. I'm going to add to my staking mine. Right now I have 10,000 trillions that's being staked. I'm now going to add a bit more to that so you can see how the staking process is happening. And then we're going to proceed furthermore. So right now I have 2 planets that I have land on. I have Ike and I have Neri. Now, Neri's been far more aggressive in the last few weeks, so I'm probably going to be putting in a bit more towards the Neri planet. And I'm going to stake, I decided, let me add another amount. I'm going to add another 2,500. Oh no, 2,000. So my total was to stake 3,500 trillium. So I'm going to add 2,000 right now to Neri and 1,500 to Ike. So it's the amount I want to add right here. It's going to say confirm. Again, like anything, every transaction has to be confirmed and authorized because it's going on the blockchain. And it's going to clarify the information as it goes through the blockchain right now. And once that's done, I should see a new balance in the corner that says, okay, now I've allocated more to X in my staking pool per se. And sometimes you have to do the refresh button because, oops, that's not what I want to go to yet. It does pan out. Doesn't you don't lose your Trillium. You don't do anything of that sort. So don't worry. Just takes a little longer, and only because there's been a lot of activity, like I said, in the last few days from what's happening on Atomic Hub, which is the resource and wax where most of this activity is happening because of their recent launch, and was developing in the world of Alien Worlds as well because they just brought in Cryptomonkeys. So that didn't take, so we're going to try it again. And I want to stake, and I want to enter them out. Put Let's see, maybe I had to put the zeros, dot 00. Oh yeah, and the 4 decimal points. Maybe it's that finicky. So I'm just making sure now I'm adding the 4 decimal points, 4 placements after the decimal point to make sure that it registers, and I'm going to confirm. Sometimes it's just those little technicalities, and that's what it was waiting for. So, excuse me, if I go back to home, now you can see my amount has increased here to 2,000 more in my staking balance. I'm going to go back. Let's do this again. And now I'm going to go I key. And I'm going to stake I key. I'm going to do the same thing, 1500 point and 4 decimal points after, because that's how it reads the contract. Confirm. Approve. Confirm. I now have this amount. I had 5,000 prior. I now have 6,500. I will go back to my home. This value has increased. My overall amount has decreased. So we know that we're good in the staking pool. So now the staking pool, again, is an assurance where I'm putting back Trilium into the planet. So even though I'm earning it, I'm putting a percentage back to increase the Trilium amount, so that some of those rewards come back again to new miners and new players, and some a percentage comes back to me as well. So when the governance issues come in, there's a stake in how the governance is now being applied, how much votes or how much decisions are being applied to determine how much staking is being issued, how the development of the land would be applied. Do we introduce new rewards? Do we introduce new policies? The decisions that are allowed or being allocated will be based on the staking that's been supplied. So staking this now provides two outcomes. It provides the landowner, such as myself or any other landowner, to have a say in the governance of the planet, but also to increase the balance of the Trilium that's being staked there as well. So as the game overall provides Trilium and trickles to a certain amount, we're also saying, okay, every landowner is also throwing in their own portion to it as well. And then again, a percentage of that comes back, but it's also redistributed to all the landowners. So as I had mentioned too, that Alien Worlds has now collaborated with Cryptomonkeys, and Cryptomonkeys is now issuing out their own NFTs. So alongside having NFT drops of the Alien World NFTs, either the tools or the minions or the weapons, you will also be receiving Cryptomonkeys. And primarily they had started with the One Planet Neri. I'm not sure at this point how that will now be get spread out for all 6 planets, but now they fully partnered up and to be associated with the Alien World entity. So if I look at my atomic hub at this moment here, I can look at it and see, okay, well, I'm getting more drops of a standard shovel or standard drill in my inventory. Maybe I'll get a female human or a standard capacitor as part of my tools. But if I look at my inventory for Cryptomonkeys, and I just had them, here we go, I can also see that I've received Cryptomonkey NFTs as well. So these are also being dropped. You can see the sequence number, you can see where they are, you can have a overview of the details. So you can see right here with the mid number is 839 of 1869. There's a max amount that's in place, so I'm relatively above the 1,000 in this particular mint, which is decent. Average price is about 143 US. If I go to another one, this one's a little lower because it's now past the 1,000 mark, and about 125. So it's a hit and miss. It's a nice way to add to the value of the portfolio that you want without, again, always excurting or injecting more dollars if you don't need to do so, right? Now the other advantage that's happening with Trilium for some players and for a lot of people is that now that, based on the value of the Trilium, which is now something that's coming up in the future. They haven't disclosed it in full detail, all because of, again, regulation rules, CC, governance, everything you want to imagine that deals with the potential of actual fiat to cryptocurrency, or any non-traditional value. They have to proceed with a bit more caution in terms of, okay, how do we establish value, and how do people maybe extract this value into actual real dollars, or I should say traditional dollars, not so much real or unreal. So what has been happening right now is people are doing their mining and maybe splitting where they're staking and what they're storing. They're also taking some of their additional resources and they're going on exchange and they are selling their Trillium. They're selling the Trillium for wax because that's the associated token that the Trillium is paired with. So, as I said, had probably misspoke, where wax was a fork of EOS. It's not necessarily a fork, it's an associating part of the EOCO blockchain, which is a huge dynamic of EOS based tokens. So you have EOS, you have wax, some areas you have Athenian, and we'll look at some of those in the future. But because wax is now one other element of the EOCO blockchain, Trillium is part of that. And in order to extract any values from that, you have to pair it with wax. For the moment, there's possibility where that may change. So what's happening? Players are taking value out of their Trillium. So what's been mined is now being extracted. So if I wanted to sell it right now, the price of someone buying my Trillium is going to be at 2 maybe 28 cents rounded up. I'm not 28 cents, 3 cents rounded up on US dollars, when it's currently at valued at about 6 cents. So it's almost half a wax, which is not horribly too bad. So if you did your calculations and you really went through the numbers, you could decide, okay, well, how much do I want to pull out of my basket of mining rewards and convert to wax, and maybe thus then convert to fiat or utilize it in the Atomic Hub shopping market. So these are areas where people have been doing that in terms of gaining additional value out of their tokens that they're earning, they're mining, they're preparing for. And if you look, this is Alcor. I will again put that in the show notes as well. This is the exchange where it's again, aside from your KYC issues, it is based on connecting to your wallet. It is simpler. It had some bugs. I won't deny it. I've had that challenge myself. I'm still waiting to have that rectified at the moment. But it seems to be stabilized enough to do these simple exchanges. And once you do it, once you put in your wax, I didn't connect to it right now. You select wax. That's the majority of where everything is at this point. And then you can see the tokens that are associated where you can do the pairing and the values in wax that these tokens hold at the moment. So again, this does offer a lot of different attributes in terms of where the game is going, and the possibilities of the game itself. And as I said, the mining is just popping up everywhere, every which way. I've had some good mining sessions the last few days, maybe in the high teens, 30s, 40s, depending on the demand. And you can see how these constantly just populate. There's just this volume growth that's just ongoing and non-stop. Okay, so just to wrap that up, and I'll leave that for now because, like I said, this is just the mining part, and just to give you an update and let you know that this is what's happening. The possibility I'll be showing, and I haven't decided, is opening a pack. I still hanging on that. I don't know. Should I open a pack? I still have one of my land packs that hasn't been touched, and Alien Worlds is enticing everybody to open it all up because they created a landowners fund, and someone was able to get almost 220 or 200,000 Trillium for just opening their land, when their land pack. So I'm I don't know why I'm hesitating. I just don't know. So I'm still hanging on that one, and so I'll have to get back unless you persuade me. So I hope this is all making it useful. Please connect and follow and share. Let me know what's going on. If you can persuade me to open this pack, sure, I'll try to do it. But for right now, I don't know why I'm just hanging on and I haven't done it. Don't get it. I know. It doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, so where else are we going to get to today? We are now also going now into Upland. Now, this is now another big change, and I know there's other games coming in. There's other games I'm looking into, but it's just dealing with the fundamentals because this is the ones that to me right now have really huge market potential in terms of clarity. The information that they provide is not just a gimmick for the sake of gimmick and everyone jumps on board and it's cool. There's just it's well thought through. There's challenges that they have to face, development structures. There's just a lot, and we'll get into also the staking element as well that's coming up. And I'll probably do that maybe in a few days, where everything within the wax world is kind of correlating, and it's just a great time to really understand the mechanics and get on board. But until then, let's now continue on with Upland. So I'm going to switch out here. We're going to go to Upland, and we're going to look at what's happening in Upland. So you can see right here, this is the first post. I just logged in because Upland got the surprise of I guess all surprises. They had to open up a new city as quickly as possible because one of their FSA cities has literally I would say sold out. And because it sold out, they needed a new place for new players to come on board. And because again they're playing with market value, right? So if a new player, depending on if they have a high enough UPX value, is not landing or being able to play the game in a city that they can afford, then it kind of becomes discouraging, right? So you're not going to have a new player that is just starting to have the game and learn the mechanics start in New York, for example. New York is more expensive than San Francisco, and especially if the new players are starting out maybe with 4,000 UPX, maybe to 6,000 UPX, depending if they're receiving the referral code. It is not a great starting point to be in the most expensive city to start. So they had Fresno. Fresno became at the verge of busting at the seams, literally, and they had to open up Clovis. Clovis now is on the verge, if it hasn't already, from what I've been reading and hearing, that is almost practically sold out. So a new player is coming in, and there's nowhere for them to go. This is a good, bad kind of chicken egg situation. You want the growth, but at the same time, you don't want to be in a situation where you don't have anything to offer because of this strange and great growth. So they have to find a solution. So let's read what's going on here. As many of you know, Upland's growth just keeps amping up. As we've seen thousands of new metaverse members weekly, there's no surprise we're also seeing many of the inexpensive properties getting snapped up. In order to ensure balance and welcoming economy for new players, Upland is going to have to speed up geographic growth more than ever before. This is why the Upland team is now focused on accelerating its East Coast expansion. So right now we now understand that they have a certain focus on a particular region. We didn't have that, so this is a new reveal. While we initially planned on evolving the East Coast hub incrementally, the growth of our economy now demands that we release these features faster. Here are some key points of this effort. Get all the juicy details by reading a full post at this link below. So we're heading to the full post. We're just going to skim through it. I'll put this in the show notes as well. You can follow through with this information so that you can get a hands-on on what's going on here. So let's see. So we know they're looking at the East Coast, and we are looking at what they're going to challenge here. So they'll be releasing Brooklyn. So that Brooklyn is going to come up with 50% being for FSA properties. Okay. So that's gonna be a good reveal. So Brooklyn's gonna have its own collection. It's gonna have its own landmarks. And we see unlocking collection Manhattan. More collections for Manhattan will come in. And code function hub. Um, for New York will continue going from pure vanilla mode into more functional, engaging city with treasure hunts. So I guess they're releasing more of those opening features as well. Um, and let's see what else. Choose up journey. And now they're looking to provide a new starter city that will mirror the Fresno experience. Start East Coast and work their way up to Manhattan via the train. So I wonder what the new starter city will be. Work to add a mid-tier city in the West Coast. So okay, so now there could be a mid-tier in the West Coast along with additional starter city. And sustain economy boom, and we're expecting over the next several months. So we can see there's going to be a huge shift in the next few months coming in as they kind of try to unlock and release new locations. Um, so this is going to be interesting, and that's we'll see how fast that can happen. So let's take a look what's been happening in the land of Upland, and let's find out. So as you know, um, San Francisco's a start. So major builds are going to be starting here. The treasure hunts and the landmarks, these are now gradually being rolled out in other cities only because of the demand. Demand's now pushing that these releases come and happen a lot quicker. So we're going to go to Fresno because that was a starter city for the FSA. And I'll, yep, that's not Fresno. There we go. And now we, like I said, the greens were the properties that were for sale. So if you want to buy them, you can. And you can see right here, these were now these buildings were part of the again test for the Spud Wars, and these were mechanics to test the game build structure to assure that everything is still stable. They will be releasing, and as they have been releasing in the last few days, airdrops of the new building currency called Spark. So as this has been tested out, Spud has now been converged to Spark. Spark will be the mechanism that's needed to build a structure. And in order to do that, and we read here, this is the release, and again, I'll put this in the show notes as well. This spark is needed to add fuel to your builds, and every spark in a full spark, one full spark will require 1,000 construction hours. Now what does that equivalent to actual hours? That's yet to be determined, but one full spark will equal 1,000 construction hours, and that's how the ratio will be. So if you have half a spark, then it will take 2,000 construction hours. If you have two spark, it will take 500 construction hours. And this will be the things that will be built and structured as time moves on. But now we're inside Fresno, and you may look and say, okay, well, there's some properties here, but these properties are not available. These are reserved. These have been blocked out, so no one can buy them. These are part of the game's mechanism. These are reserved properties for the game developers, their own outline plans that they have later on. So I can't buy it. Even a new visitor or a new FSA player can't buy it. That's off limits. But you could see that these properties are gone. Like there's nothing available unless somebody wanted to buy these. There's maybe two, but the expansion level to earn high yield on a lot of these properties is practically gone. So if I zoom out here, and I'm going to put the map on the point of interest, which is that icon here at the bottom right. So we now know this is our main Fresno. Here's Clovis that just opened last week, and you can see right now, so you zoom in a little more, practically gone as well. a few FSAs, but for the majority, and I'll turn off the point of interest, it's a little faster to scroll. Just a lot of properties now that are just gone. The map is full. Um, if you wanted, you could get a property for 500, and this is a good buy. If somebody had it and they're interested in this is maybe an interesting buy. Does it have a lot of value? Maybe not, but it's a cute little location. If I look at the build side's not bad either, because remember, when you're going to do any builds, a certain size matters. So if I knew anybody that's there, I might just take that. If We'll see. I can't buy it outright because I I am past the level for such a property, but I can put a request for somebody to get it and see what happens and buy it from them. So I buy it secondhand. But if I scroll up here, again, properties are off. It's just a lot of locations that are just no longer available, right? And that's just what's happening right now. Right? So now imagine once the builds happen. You're looking at a map right now, and all we need now in a few months is to start building structures. And once those structures come in, then your neighborhoods have value, then your properties have value. So you're increasing value on certain sectors, and then depending on what the activity is for these neighborhoods. So, I've always put a shout out before, and I'll do it again. If you're an online content creator, if you are an artist and you're looking for an outlet, an avenue in which to put your market, please get in contact with me, DM me. This is a place where you want to try to establish a base, and I'm working towards trying to do that, especially for Porto Rio Hill, but in other sectors as well, depending again on volume, capacity, because the properties always be based on capacity as well. And let me know if we're getting closer to that threshold, I would say, where things are going to start to turn over. So if you are one of those who like to develop new things and kind of build out an idea, or looking to create a new market for yourself, I would love to hear from you. So let's see if it's going out a bit more. This is still Clovis. Woodwood Park is gone. North Clovis, let's see. Yep, gone there as well. And these properties that you say that are gray, still available, but again, almost on the verge of being sold out. Like, let's take a look at if you take a look at our stats, remember the stats, everything's about stats as well. You want to look at where the numbers are, you want to look at value, and determine market growth or market activity, generally activity as well. Well, we can see here we have right now in Fresno, and I'm going to refresh this one more time, that we have just under 2,000 unminted properties, and we're not looking at what's been locked. So if I look at their lock, mint graph. Oops, so I don't want to do a mint graph. Neighborhood. Or actually, I should do city, because city will then tell me what's locked. And so we had, this is what we know, that's 12,000 properties in Fresno that are locked. So we know, even though they're gray and may look like they're available, they're actually locked by the game itself. There was a total of 182,000 properties, and 168 of them are gone, and 31,000 are on market. And there's only 1742 that are left to buy first buyer. So for something that had, and I'm wondering if this is, not sure if this is also including Clovis, which I would think it is, because Clovis is more like an expansion to Fresno. So I'm imagining these are combined. That's a lot of activity in less than a full week. So you can understand why there's now this rush to try to get ahead of the next rush in the next city. And we look at another stats, which is coming from UPX World, and you can see their graph. And we look at Fresno, and we see their percentage of what's locked, what's been minted, what's for sale, and what's unminted. And you can see here that small graph is telling us that there's hardly much, not much of availability that's left in this particular city, and they have Clovis. So let's look at Clovis, and Clovis is practically nil, less than 1%. So they've done a split. They've put Fresno and they put Clovis, and you can see that there's just not enough supply. Fresno, again, Fresno is about the 1% as well. If you look at San Francisco, San Francisco still has a good volume of about 27%. So there's still room for San Francisco. It's a mid-tier city. There's still how would I call it, properties for sale, but it's also the city that's going to be the first. So I think a lot of people are just anticipating that this will be the city that's going to grow the fast, not so much the fastest, but the first, before everything else starts to level off. But time will determine, as we anticipated. No one expected this. This was a big shock. If you look at New York, New York's almost at a 40% ratio, and that's not including Brooklyn. Brooklyn's about to expand out as well. So Manhattan and San Francisco are always going to work on par in terms of not being fully sold out, but in terms of maybe value and growth, be in the same, I guess, tier, because it'll probably be those two cities that are going to kind of grow in conjunction of each other, because it was San Francisco first and then Manhattan. So you can see where they're probably kind of follow each other in some ways. Let's see what else. But now we're going to take a look and see what's going on in New York, because now New York had opened up collections, and let's take a look at some collections, because some areas that did expand. And I don't have to be in New York because I can pre-select. So right now I'm looking at San Francisco's collections. Let's take a look at Fresno's collections, and those have remained what they were. No, I didn't do the, okay. So we have the Van Ness, City Pro, Fulton Street. You need 3 Fulton, the Downtown Merle, Old Town, which was, should be Clovis. So they merged the two within the Clovis itself, and Downtown Fulton, Fulton Properties, and Olive Street, and Lowell. So that's Fresno. So we go to Manhattan. Excuse me. Standard Properties, the Newbie, King of Street, City Pro, Harlem. They opened up recently. Broadway, Little Italy, Soho. This opened up not too long ago. Financial District, Park Avenue, Skyline, Manhattan, Times Square. You can see how the price points now change. Wall Street, Last Act, Billionaires, and these will probably be reserved for Brooklyn, or Brooklyn's going to be having its own. So you can see what's going on there. But now let's take a look at the map. Let's see what it looks like visually as we go to the East Coast. And you can see there's a bunch of players there in the East Coast. One of my gaming partners is there as well. And we're going to take a look. So we'll see. There's like I said, it was not completely sold out, but again, relatively busy. Here's the surprise: we have a lot of stuff happening in the Fresno city. I mean Fresno City, New York City. So there's still volume. There's still supply. Still places to buy and purchase. But you also see there's other areas that are now completely closed off and nothing to purchase at all. Now, if you wonder what those red dots are, these are inaugural buildings. So they have a slightly special status in terms of what they mean to the landmark game. Um, for some people have value, some people they don't, but it is a neat feature that it's been requested about quite often. But these are inaugural buildings, landmark features, particular to the city. Okay, now let's take a look and see what Brooklyn's going to be offering soon. So we know where we are. Carnegie, East Harlem, that was just released and that almost sold out. Let's take another quick glance. So we still have a bit more room, but certain areas are becoming closed and closely gone. And then that's East Harlem and Harlem itself. You can see how the difference is, right? So it's just quite a bit of activity because of what's been released, because there should be new, I would say, collections that are supposed to be released here. So everyone's anticipating, I'm gonna get a collection, you know. So it is that anticipation that everyone wants and wants to be part of. I haven't been that. I don't know why. But now you can see we're going further up north, and we're just waiting for Brooklyn. And once that opens up, then we're closing off New York for to some time, and we're probably going to be wondering what the next mid-tier city will be on either side. So we're having a starter city on the East Coast somewhere. It will be Philly, Baltimore. That remains to be seen. And then a dual city on the West Coast. So you can imagine now what the travel will be on the west side. Right, so you will have another city here on the East Coast, and then two other cities here on the West Coast. Try to balance it out. People are spread out. If they need to travel, they're gonna have to travel out, and make their purchases, or again team up with particular buyers in a particular location. Right. So if someone's more familiar or prefers to be in X city, and you collaborate with these players, then you are establishing this network, right? And this is one of those rollouts are supposed to happen in 2021, where the building teams and building squads or joint units, so that there's availability for people to share and collaborate together. And of course, the whole option is that you want all this to be on a contract. You want this all to be on a blockchain. But how it rolls out is a different story. So now I'm here. Let me see how my property purchases are going to go. I've done some sends to help new visitors gain more status. I'll be looking to do that some more throughout the week. Trying to establish as much stability as we can, and I'm going to make that request for that one property I saw. So I have to make sure I have enough UPX available, and that's how we're wrapping up. So you can see there's quite a bit of things happening, and I'm just going to collect my earnings here. Oh yeah, and they had mentioned that there was a property that literally was moved in San Francisco. So if you bought this property on the basis of, oh, it was cool because I like it, it was an old Victorian home, that old Victorian home was displaced about a quarter mile or so to another location. So that's going to be interesting to review and see over time. Let me see if I can find that article, which I probably won't right now. Let me see. So I'm just doing a quick look. I collected what I needed, so my timer is now going to be showing me what I have to wait for. And let me see here. Okay, no. It's funny when you really want to find something you don't. Unless you keep it all in your notations. But I thought it would be interesting to show. Excuse me again. Sorry about that. Been fighting a cold. And so I'm going to buy the next two here, but I have to get here. So I have to send my Explorer over, and I'm not paying anything because it's my property. And now everything that was there highlights. So I'll buy for that value. And I have to enter a code, so I have to wait for this code to pop up. That's good there. So now when I buy it again, the next property over, I won't have to enter that code again. Close this. It's going to secure it on the chain. Buy this property. Click OK. And that goes through. And that's going to be secured on a chain. So as I'm here, as I said, I might as well take advantage of it and show the buys again. Because again, once it's familiar, you're familiar, and there's nothing for you to worry about. Okay, so if again could find that article, would be great. But it's not showing up, which is interesting. Let's see, cancel. Okay, the other thing we had, but it's now gone, we had the Mardi Gras kind of special for Clovis. Clovis can celebrate their Ash Wednesday Mardi Gras early, so everyone had on their Block Explorers the option to decorate their Explorer with a mask, Mardi Gras decor. It was pretty interesting if that's the kind of stuff that you like. Let me see. Try one more time. See if I find this particular information, and that way we can take a quick look if we can find it. Okay, there we go. Old Victorian house. But it doesn't tell us the address. Okay, there we do. We have it. So this was the address of the old Victorian house that was built in, it's 139 years old. It was moved today in San Francisco. The move was about $400,000 worth in expense. is moving from Franklin Street to 635 Fulton Street. And if you do a search, you'll be able to find some great images of this move. But let's see. It was a property that I had owned with that idea that I had a old Victorial home, which now I probably will have a condo because that's what's being replaced, at least in real life. So let's take a look. And nope, that was not me. So whoever owned that 807, there we go, that was their home, is now being moved to Fulton. Now, in reality, too, it may not have anything to do with the game itself, only because it's up to you if you really want to mirror the kind of property that the game has to real life, because you don't necessarily have to build a Victorian home, but some people do. Some people make their purchases based on what it is in real life, possibly to mimic the same thing. So here's the new address of this home, and this home will be surrounded by condos. So this lot will be converted to to the Victoria home, and the area behind it will be some kind of mixed residential in real life. So there's a mortuary now, which has probably been demoed, and will be converted to the new place of the new property, which was coming not far from right here. So Franklin, just as I said, just down the street. Right? So you just never know. And not far from City Hall. So go figure. And let's take a look at what's happening in City Hall. Did they change? Oh, I have to go visit City Hall. Well, why not? Let's visit, and then I can always go back and get my send if I need to. So let's see what's inside. So there you go. I could again join the Fiat if I want to. I could register now and put in, but that's not something I wanted. Custom Explorer, again, if you had a certain amount of value that's added to your Explorer account, you could get your Custom Explorer. You've seen those weird, wacky Explorers that were there. Those are it. If your net worth is 100K, then you have your own Explorer. This now is another, you need to be executive to apply to this feature, which then is an enhancement to your Explorer. Another feature is being added as we move along. So as you can see, there's been a few things going on. The cities are becoming extremely more dense in terms of occupancy, just because there's just more players now on board. I mean, if we look back at the stats, if we look at let's look at the big data. And if we look at users, oh, I don't want to do user. I want just not that. Let me see here. I want to find out if we have a player stat. We have a leaderboard again. If you're into the leaderboard, how many people own how much property and what total value. But I now want to see more player stats than leaderboard, and let's see if we can find that. Management map, treasure map. We had this before. So many graphs now. So visits. The new Upland graph. New Uplanders, and there we go. So we had a dip to about 2 weeks ago. Hardly any new Uplanders. And that was what was the 12th? What was the special day on the 12th that nobody signed on board? And that was a Friday, so that was a rarity of itself. Just nobody. But I think possibly too the system was maybe down. It's probably under maintenance. That could be a likely issue here. And then we're up here. We're just peaked the 227 new ones, back down a bit more. So there's a player activity that's just ongoing, and there's new people just coming on and coming on. And as I had said earlier, when I started this game, there were less than 100 people. There were less than 100 players. So you could just imagine where everything has just ballooned and ballooned and ballooned and ballooned and ballooned. Um, and that is expected. This is exactly what you want to see. So I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next few days as things pan out. I'm going to look at this new stats right now. They were supposed to drop some spark, so maybe I could take a look and see what the spark values are. Let me take a last look at the Discord channel and see whether any announcements. Um, for spark drawing. So they had to go to YouTube and watch a drawing. Acts of kindness, and then yeah, you get to see if it's in your. So the Spud hasn't been converted yet, and yeah, that's where we are at this moment. So we're we're moving along. We're moving along. All right. So and as I said, this is where you see these. You see all these different explorers. Those that one with the Bitcoin and handle. Where'd it go? Well, you can't find it, but you can imagine where they are. Everyone has their own wacky design. So again, if you're one of those people who like to create strange things, and you're there's a definitely different market with a different thought process you have to realize too, because there's a certain style. And if you look back at my previous edits and previous videos, you'll all describe that to different style to the Upland dichotomy or economy, if you will. So until next time, until we have, until the next evolution of Upland, join in, follow and share, ask some questions, post some comments, let me know what you think about it. You're getting a bit more of a taste of what's happening. Alien World's the same thing. It's coming along. The Thunder, the Thunderdome's gonna be probably the next step in that evolution of the game. There's more in other games, and when it comes to UFT and staking, like there's just so much happening in the world of the EOS environment of itself. That you really want to start paying attention to. I think the next maybe 2 to 3 months will be very interesting in this space, and I'm just giving you guys a heads up. So follow, share, send me a message. I'll be sending some links, and if you are on the whatchamacallit, the Wax Explorer, and you're into collections and you're ready to start doing some collections, I just launched stuff for Upland, and I'll see if I can show you here, and I'll probably put a link out as well. And we'll show it here. And I've done the collection for the city of Upland, so you can see there's each city has two kind of rarities. One is the animated version, and the other one is the stills. So the animated ones is unique to each thing that's going Upland, and the stills are just simple stills. Again, relatively iconic. These things are showing the starting point of the game, the three cities that basically just launched this game and put this game on the map. So if you're into it, again, I'll put that in my show notes as well. head over, get on board, and I'll hope to catch you in the world of EOS. Take care. Bye.